Hi, everybody. Today is Thursday, December 12th, and our friend Andrei Martyanov is back with us. Welcome back, Andrei.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Let's get started, Andrei, with the situation right now in Syria. Before the conflict in Syria started, we had a situation with Israel in southern Lebanon, which they were not successful in defeating Hezbollah. They were not successful in defeating Hamas. And that's, in my opinion, that's why they went after some sort of temporary ceasefire.
Yeah.
And the Biden administration is losing in Ukraine as well. And right now, with this attack on Syria, it seems that they're so happy with the situation because at the same time they have defeated Russia and Iran together. Your take?
No, no, they defeated nobody. Well, actually, they definitely made the life of Iran harder because obviously this famous Iranian crest, so to speak, and they cut the tip of it. I don't know how can they defeat Russia. United States has no ability to defeat Russia, especially in the war. What happened, I mean, is just they did what United States military is really good at. They bought them. But it's not only United States, it's Turkey too. We have to keep in mind, this is not United States primarily, albeit United States is acting as the proxy of Israel. Fact is, United States is not sovereign country when it comes to foreign policy. It is run primarily by Israel, and so it was, in this respect, we have to view it. But it was Turkish also. And yeah, yes, today my video comes out and there is a cutout of the 2 minute long video with the Russian special forces driving, and seeing those thousands of the courageous, quote unquote, Syrian army, totally demoralized, surrendered. I mean, they just dropped their weapons in the front of the force, which they outnumber. So that tells you everything you need to know. So now Russia was there, yes, as an invitation by the Assad government, and as a result, the good old PMTO, which is called the post of the military technological support or military technical support in Tartus, was reactivated essentially. But Khmeimim it still is a major base, and it operates normally. And evidently, already this whatever they call those rebels, it's bunch of basically sadists and terrorists, but they already stated, oh yeah, we're gonna defend those bases of Russia. Okay, but I think some Russians already saw this coming with the Syrian armed forces. In fact, is let's be straight. Most what Syrian armed forces, with the exception of people like Tiger Brigade, did from 2015 was crawling behind Russians and Iranians who fought the war for them. Period. Simple as that. So after that, Russians withdrew, to bases primarily. All the contingents which were participating in the armed conflicts have been withdrawn. And yeah, as was expected with any Arab militaries, they sold it out. So there you go. So in this respect, if you consider this as some kind of success, sure. But there has, as somebody already stated, has literally rolling already. They're executing many families, including children, those who didn't see it. And if you don't have stomach for this, well, too bad. You better watch and go and take a look at what they are doing. The videos are there. They executing children in front of parents, or executing parents in front of children, and then wiping out the whole families. That's the Turkish and Israeli and American democracy for you. Okay, these are freedom fighters. So in this respect, I don't know what they're celebrating, honestly, but obviously they needed something to, basically facing off what is happening in Ukraine. And Ukraine and what is happening in Europe, it dwarfs the events in Syria. As I many times stated, Syria is just one of the links of a much larger chain of the events. So yeah, that's what it is.
We know that Syria is not on the borders of Iran and Russia,
Yeah.
and it's not a huge defeat for Iran as well, because they're not at the border. There is no any sort of security problem for Iran right now.
No, there's no.
Yeah.
And the problem is, as George Galloway yesterday went on this rant, and I totally subscribed under any word in what he stated, was the fact that Palestinians were, applauding and celebrating these head choppers, and basically, fundamentalists winning. Well, guess what? Their Palestinian cause is done. It's over for them. So they didn't understand that Assad's government was this link which was connecting Iran to Hezbollah, and Hezbollah, unlike Arabs, Sunni Arabs, they wanted to fight Israel to the last Palestinian, if you didn't know their modus operandi, while still selling themselves out. But it was Shiite Iran which took, the cause of Palestinians seriously, and Hezbollah was part of it. So now Palestine is no more. They will be ethnically cleansed. Some will be killed. That's what Israel does, kills civilians. It will be over. Israel will take over the Gaza Strip, and the rest of them will be spread all over the place, including Egypt, which is, it's their problem now. They already took Golan Heights, and no, Israel will not return them to anybody.
Right now, they're talking about 11,000 jihadists and takfiris going to Iraq and expanding this movement. Iran said that they're going to be on the ground fighting directly with them if they go to Iraq. Do you see the situation? Because the way that they're trying to continue to expand this conflict, it's unbelievable. You just look at what has happened in Gaza, in the West Bank, then to Syria, Yemen, and right now, if they go to Iraq, then come to Iran. We had some sort of direct conflict between Iran and Israel. Do you see that this conflict expanding in the future, or they can control it?
Again, you have to understand who those takfiris are. They're a relatively lightly armed force. That's why it tells you how cowardly Syrian army is, and their generals who scratch Arab general, you'll find a price tag, so it's I don't think so they are capable to fight regular formations of Iranian army. I mean, simple as that. So, and there will be pretty much the same activity as, again, keep in mind, already in Syria, basically factions are emerging, and they will be fighting each other. So they will try to do it in Iraq, and sure, they will. 11,000 people is not that big of a number, honestly. You need to have a very serious force, numbered in hundreds of thousands, to have any kind of the serious military impact. You might have the impact within what would amount to a relatively high intensity police operation. I'm pretty sure Iranians are totally capable of dealing with that, so I'm not worried about Iran in a minute. It's all about, as our, for example, Iranian friends from my discussion boards on my blog say the danger for Iran comes from within, as it is always. And again, those people in the West, they are cowardly. They will never start fighting anybody who can shoot back. So the only thing they do is that's what they do. Indirect strategies, trying to destabilize internal structure of the states they don't like, Iran could be somewhat vulnerable to it. But again, it all depends. They tried it on Russia, they failed miserably, but then again, Russia is completely different weight category. But Russians support Iran, and again, we have to see what Russia and Iran will sign coming weeks on the comprehensive, essentially allied relations. So we'll take it from there. But again, I'm not worried for Iran militarily, and I don't think so IDF is capable of fighting Iranian regular forces. It's going to be reduced primarily to the proxy actions terrorism. That's what West, NATO, United States does most, killing people, assassinating them, blowing up all kind of infrastructure. That's, well, because they are cowards. They understand they will not win in the real war. They will sustain catastrophic casualties. And so that's what we have. And in terms, as I already stated, the losers are Palestinians. They are real losers. And it's over for Palestine.
Andrei, do you understand what has happened in the mind of Palestinians and those people in that region who were supporting the United States or anybody who was against, even Turkey? They were supporting Turkey against Assad. And what did they have in their mind? Because they knew what's the importance of Assad for Hezbollah and Hezbollah for Palestine, for Gaza, for the West Bank.
They don't think like that. If you look attentively at the many polls taken in the Arab world, this explains, for example, and I cannot necessarily point out immediately to one of those polls, but if you go and take a look at, I believe it was mid 2010s, Arabs identify themselves primarily as Muslims, Sunni Muslims. Then they identify themselves as Arabs, and only then they identify themselves as some kind of nation. Tunis, Morocco, Egypt, so they are primarily religious ethnic group, all of them. That is why all those states, Arab states, are weak. They are obviously ridden with corruption. As we already know, the culture of the area of the civilization is gotcha. Who can sell each other? For the it doesn't mean that they don't have courageous, competent people, and no, they do. But the problem is they are not in the real power, and it is all about basically how you can enrich yourself. And as a result, very weak nation states, very weak national identifications. And yeah, they are backward. Okay, let's face it. They are really backward. I mean, good Lord. It's just look at the state of their, states. They're all bankrupt practically. Look at Egypt. Good Lord. I mean, this is Libya. We know how it all ended. It was rich. Now it's going to be miserable for a long time now. The only state which is representing some kind of the serious unity and serious development are Algeria. That this is a different culture, but do not forget, Algeria was under French rule for a long time. It was a brutal war after that, and de Gaulle had to withdraw France pretty much from Algiers, but they incorporated also many elements of the French culture there, so they are different country in many respects. The rest of it is just, good Lord. I mean, it's, we know what Saudi Arabia does, and how it does it. So, and Iran is alone in this fight in the sense of the being regional power, which it is, and regional superpower. But again, a lot will depend rather not what, we know what they will sign, when it will be signed in Moscow by Iran and Russia.
Andrei, when you look at the situation with the conflict in Syria, we had Maria Zakharova talking about the United States being the mastermind of what has happened in Syria. Iranians are talking about, they're talking the same way, they're blaming the United States for what has happened in Syria. But in your opinion, what was the role of Turkey in the whole situation? Turkey had some sort of relationship and has some sort of relationship, an important relationship with Iran, both Iran and Russia. And they're playing on the part of the United States and Israel in this game. How do you see their type of role?
Well, it's a big role, make no mistake. And again, there are some legitimate issues for Turks there, especially in Idlib, from what I know. And there are Kurds, But they wanted it. Hey, what can I say? Turks supported it, so let them face the music. Today they have Fidan, Mr. Fidan, the foreign minister of Turkey, already stated Israel cannot do this. Who told you that Israel cannot do that? Israel just does it, you know. So what did you expect, you know? And don't forget, Turkish role is huge in this, and so let them face the music, you know. So they will. Well, Kurds is one thing. They probably will do their ethnic cleansing, whatever, you know. That's what will be happening. But now, when they complain that Israel is, you know, taken Golan Heights, what did you expect? You know, it's just like, dude, it was clear for anybody who has any brains. And don't forget, I'm not a specialist in the Middle East. So I by no means the authority on that issue. I can only judge from what, you know, what I read and what I see. So yeah, face the music. You got yourself a very interesting, basically hot spot on your borders. You're gonna be busy for a long time. This is what happens when you play both sides, you know. But it never really ends up well. So I don't think so. It is what it is being presented by some, you know, losers in Washington, because obviously they got their ass kicked, you know, in Ukraine and in Europe. And but yeah, hey, whatever.
In your assessment, was it possible to overthrow Assad from the power in Syria without Turkey, the United States alone with Israel? Was that possible for them without Turkey being part of this?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look at those people again. They will sell you anything. So they have been bought, and that's it. This classic coup d'état, and yeah, that tells you everything you need to know about those regimes, you know. So, and I think so. Russia was seeing the situation probably far away. And again, if you really listen to Russians' opinion, professional opinions, professional officers, military, it is contempt towards Syrian military, contempt towards their generals, contempt towards their politicians, especially on the local level. It's been circulating for years now, you know. So basically, they wanted Russians and Iranians fight for them, while they will be getting rewards and awards. So, and yeah, that was the result. So it was clear already by 2017 they will surrender anything, you know. Just as I repeat, it's old tourism, you know. There is no donkey loaded with the gold which cannot penetrate any fortress in the Middle East, you know. So that they.
You know, the reason that I'm asking this, Andrei, because we know that how much Iran and Russia were important in those days, that they tried to overthrow, to do a military coup in Turkey. And seeing Erdogan behaving this way is so disappointing. It's unbelievable. I don't have any sort of description, any sort of explanation for what has happened, considering the behavior of Erdogan.
He's Ikhwan, he's Muslim Brotherhood, Erdogan. Everybody knows that. So he behaves, you know, as most of them behave irrationally. So, and in this respect, I mean, he's a shrewd guy, make no mistake. He's no idiot. But he obviously doesn't understand the tactical and strategic level of the geopolitical thinking. So you maybe people do not remember for some reason, but many people do have short memories, and it's not their fault, that after Turkish Air Force shut down the Su-24 with Russian pilots, I can remind you what happened after that. Russians didn't go and didn't wipe out, which they could actually, the Turkish Air Force. No, they actually stopped tourism and refused Turkish produce from entering Russia. And that created a huge political crisis in, you know, in Turkey. They literally begged to, so there you go. Russia has the economic levers on this, but the point is you cannot change the nature of the beast. So he actually, thinking that he won, he actually lost tremendously. because he now has a whole belt of instability around there. And there are many people. Listen, again, Israel will take its own now. It has no resistance from this point. And the only thing is that if Russians will decide somehow to participate, well, not participate, it's by the fact of having two major bases there, to make sure that Latakia preserves survival, or provides survival for Christian minorities, for Druze, for Alawites, people who otherwise are enemies of the, Takfiris. They will kill them. They will kill them. They will rape their women. They will kill children. So yeah, that's what they do. This is that's pretty much the level of military thinking in the United States. They love to fight, by somebody's hands, and usually those proxies are just absolutely just genocidal maniacs. And so, will Russians go for that? Does Russia need this type of the burden? Because obviously technological developments and everything do not make those bases critical. Plus, there is another talk about with Mr. Haftar in Libya, and Haftar wants Russian bases. So who knows? We'll have to wait and see. With the issue, appearance of the new weapon systems and systems of the guidance and the targeting. You literally can sink anything just launching from Crimea, and something in the English Channel, any kind of destroyer or let alone aircraft carrier, will be sunk, in real war. So we are looking at a completely different technological paradigm here. So, and once, because Assad is gone, so is the Alawite, rule. There you go. Do you need to support those people? Again, only on humanitarian basis, for survival of non-Takfiri population of Syria. Christians, as already stated, Druze, Alawites. The rest of it, Sunni Arabs, they want Sharia. That's the only thing they want. That's period. So that's why they are in the state they are today.
Do you think, but by this, I would call it a coup in Syria?
It is cool. It was cool.
Yeah. Do you think by this, added to by this type of coup in Syria, they're going to send these immigrants to Syria? They're going to send them back? Or they're going to receive more immigrants from Syria?
Well, there will be new exodus, obviously. So Europe should take responsibility for its action, open the gates, and continue to do what they're doing, killing themselves. They play it's like you broke it, you own it. Okay, so simple as that, So let Europeans enjoy.
It doesn't seem that Europe has any. They've just disappeared from the scene, Andrei. Europe is nothing right now. We cannot hear anything from them so far. They're not talking about what's going on. Nobody's talking about Israel right now bombing and attacking and killing people. It seems that everybody's right now focused on what is happening in Syria, and nobody's caring what is going on in Gaza, and we are all distracted from the reality in Gaza, in the West Bank.
European political elite is degenerate. Decomposed people, they have no morals, they have no honor, they have no integrity. 90% of them are like this. So you cannot expect anything from the sociopath and cowards. Europeans are cowardly people. I mean, we have to face now. They allowed this to happen to them, and they basically are satisfied now, right? So that's Europe is done. I'm on record. I'm on the record for 10 years now. Europe is over. United States needs to eat too, right? So it doesn't need any kind of competitors. Not that Europe now can compete much in very many sectors. And so if Europeans, go hungry. By the way, Germany today, their minister of energy announced that prepare to have, the blackouts for long times. Hey, you wanted it, enjoy. So, and as already stated, in the end, I don't think so we're going to have French nation in about 25, 30 years. France, as we know it, is gone already. So it's going to be Arabized or Arabicized, if you wish. It's going to be Africanized, and already what is happening in the south of France, it's not France anymore there. It will increase even more. United Kingdom, yeah, that's a whole other story. I mean, and Europe is done, period. It is what it is. They wanted it. They wanted this agenda, and yeah, enjoy.
Andrei, let me play a clip for you. Matt Miller is talking about the situation in Syria.
Yesterday, that the Assad regime or Assad himself should be held accountable. Will you support his application to stand in front of the ICC as a war criminal who committed crimes against humanity?
So we support the work of the ICC. I know that obviously we have disagreed with their hold on. I'm gonna let me address it.
You support the work of the ICC until they do something about it.
So we have had a long. Let me just answer the question. You know what, Matt? Let me answer the question, because I was addressing that before you interrupted me. We obviously have had a jurisdictional dispute with them as it relates to cases against Israel. That is a long-standing jurisdictional dispute. But that said, we have also made clear that we support broadly their work, and we have supported their work in other cases, despite our jurisdictional dispute when it comes to Israel.
Yeah, he's simply saying
the last remaining American foreign policy journalist in real journal, Matt Lee. If not for the Matt Lee, the American Journal Corps is just a bunch of the degenerates and war criminals. But I mean, yeah, what can I say? It's just circus. I mean, it is sheer circus, you know. And again, these morons from Al Arabiya, CNN, or State Department, they don't even understand what paradigm change happened, you know. And but yeah, they basically live in this kind of made-up delusional world. And what can I say? Greater Israel is coming. Obviously, it's greater than it exists today. It already happened. So yeah, that's why they celebrate, because practically all of them are cuckolds, you know, and you know, serve the Israel interest, not, for example, American interest. But it is what it is. What can I say? And U.S. State Department, as under Mr. Blinken, their main task is to support Israel. They have nothing to do with American national interest. They won't even be able to basically formulate them. They are dumb and uneducated there. So yeah, that Matthew Miller says pretty much what it is, you know. So yeah, per ICC, they want to extradite Assad. Why don't they say send special group to Moscow? See what happens if you want to take him. So yeah, it's circus. It's tragic comedy. That's what it is.
Andrei, how do you see the conflict right now in Ukraine? It seems that in the United States, they're preparing to send more money, more aid to Ukraine. And at the same time, you hear Donald Trump giving some distorted pictures that is not representing the reality in Ukraine. How do you find, let's put it this way, how do you find the current policy of Donald Trump, the way that he's talking about the conflict? Do you think he's still thinking of putting an end to the conflict?
No, well, you have to understand, like he stated today, why do you launch again attackams there? He understands why, because he understands they want to spoil and tide him in all kinds of the conflict, but because U.S. military is incompetent, you know, and especially those people in CIA, they still think that launching 6 attackams may elicit some kind of nuclear response from Russia, you know. No, Russians already said that we will respond, just wait. And Russia has a free hand in this and has the tools which United States is totally incapable of reaching, actually. So, and Trump understood it. My video today comes with the sub-headline, which is Trump's Get It. He understood it's all about him. They need, fact is, they launched a Taganrog 6 missiles. 2 of them have been shot down. 4 have been suppressed by the electronic warfare. There were some, like a couple of people who got slightly wounded, so they didn't hit anything. But he absolutely correctly understood that this is about him. And Zelensky does this the same with the Biden administration. They do it after, obviously, a meeting in Paris, couple of days ago when he told Zelensky that, yeah, we're probably going to cut aid. Well, he might cut aid, but the United States will continue to support whatever will be left from Ukraine. So for now, it's just a matter of how they arranged it in public relations, because they are not good at fighting wars. They are not good for doing anything. The only thing they are good, and again, it's not good. I mean, the only thing they are capable of is creating some kind of the, pardon me, chaos and trying to elicit some kind of response, not understanding what they are dealing with. And again, their American level of ignorance of Russia is astounding. It seems like this kindergarten there sitting like, oh yeah, let's launch those attackers. Maybe they will respond. Yeah, they will respond. As already stated, the hunt for the high level NATO officers is on in Ukraine. So we'll see what happens.
And right now, do you think that the situation in Georgia is still, they're hoping that they can make some sort of problem in that region? Because we cannot ignore what has happened in Syria, in Georgia, right? One after another coming up.
Yeah,
And
that's what they do. Yeah, that's what they will do. You have to understand. Again, people who do not understand, most of Washington hates Russian guts. They hate them for racial reasons, because they are, well, we are subhumans for them. And because, for example, like Pentagon, they hide it. It's complex of inferiority. Pentagon has the most losing record of the modern army. They lose wars. So, and what the only thing they are capable of is to, as I already stated, huff and puff, and create the proxy situation, because obviously they will not be able to fight any kind of serious wars. So Trump wants to start the war with Iran, but again, we need to constantly ask ourselves, what do we understand under this title, war? If you talk about the launching, hurling bunch of the Tomahawks and JASSMs, it is certainly war, but it is basically, standoff weapons standing away from casualties. United States cannot take casualties. It is extremely sensitive to it. That is why they constantly lie, and you begin to, like in Ukraine, when you show them the scale of what is happening there, they cannot even comprehend that. Not a single general in Pentagon has any clue what they are facing, because this is, we're already at that 1 million casualties by the Russian most conservative estimates on the Ukrainian side. So they have to delude themselves. They bought and swallowed hook, line, and sinker Ukrainian propaganda, which tells you very much about the level of competence, or rather lack thereof. And so when you look at these people, so really you want to do something significant? Well, yeah, they go for Syria, for the corrupt, basically, government of Assad. And as I already stated, it's easy to buy Arab politician. Very easy. They really, so. And they did it. Just that. That's about it. By the way, if anybody doesn't understand what is happening, so for you to understand, Russian State Duma yesterday, I believe, voted. I believe it has to pass 3 readings, 3 votes or 2 votes. I don't remember. I'm not good in those, bureaucratic procedures in terms of parliamentary activities. But Taliban will be removed very soon from the list of the terrorist organization by Russia. And my God, that's humiliation, okay, for the United States, but nobody talks about it. So there you go. It's just the way it is.
Andrei, do you think that this conflict between the East and the West under Donald Trump administration would worsen, or he's gonna improve somehow what's going on in Ukraine or in the Middle East? He said so far what we've heard from him, he said by January 20th, he doesn't want any sort of conflict in Ukraine and in the Middle East. But how much of what he has said so far has anything to do with the reality?
Very little. if any. The only thing is he invited Mr. Z to his inauguration. That is kind of okay, yeah, sure. He will do charm offensive there while trying to do as he did last time, launch some missiles, some Chinese interest or something like that. So it's all for the show. I mean, he's a blowhard, but obviously what he wants is not what he gets, and we know how it worked out for him in his first term, because reality is such a thing. It's a hard thing to swallow. So no, it's nothing going to stop in Ukraine. Russians will continue to crush the front, and as I already stated, Russians just looking at if it is a strategic discussion. Should we take pretty much all of Ukraine, or should we stop just on the left bank of Dnieper? So it's a serious discussion. You have to scratch your head, because do you need the rest of those people who hate you, put you on your balance, so to speak, and suddenly begin to pay them Russian pensions, Russian social aid, and things like that. So this is a significant expense. We'll see. I don't know, but no, don't expect any kind of the improvement of the relations between United States and Russia. And I think so that in the end, that at least the trade war between United States and China will accelerate. And maybe as those people, those fantasistas, those people have the fantastic thinking. They think that they can start a war against China. Sure, yeah.
Do you think that the Biden administration, before leaving Washington, would put some sort of force on the Zelensky administration to reduce the draft age from 25 to 18? Are
Yeah.
they gonna do that before leaving? Because it's huge. It's very important for the
Well,
future.
it's not really important militarily. Mr. Blinken and Sullivan, who are illiterate hacks, the pool of the 18 to 25-year-olds, this is the last generation of Ukrainians which you can breed upon to maintain some kind of semblance of existence of the Ukrainians, as they are understood ethnically and culturally. It's 300,000. If they will do this, they will be able probably to mobilize before they go 150 of them, 1,000 of them. They will be killed all very fast. And I am discussing this today in my video. They will not probably even reach the line of the combat contact, because and these are children, essentially. They are untrained. They will not be trained. In fact, that tells you everything who Mr. Blinken and Biden and Sullivan are: genocidal maniacs. So they are war criminals in full-blown way. And yeah, if they will sacrifice those kids, Russians will kill them. I mean, I'm sorry, that's the way it is. And but they don't care. So
when we talk about the behavior of Antony Blinken and the Biden administration, we say that they're hating Russia, but it seems to me that they hate Ukrainians the most, because they're killing Ukrainians. The outcome of this conflict was just destroying the whole Ukrainian nation. And right now, if it goes from 25 to 18, they're just killing these little kids.
yeah, that's what they are. They're sociopaths. They're cowards, all of them. And as I already stated, so are American generals who proposed this, because Blinken and Sullivan based this thing on the Pentagon proposals. Obviously, there are some 4 stars who have no consciousness. They lost all their wars. They're losers. And they're not very well educated, because American military education is a joke. And so they want to do anything. They hate Russian gods. Okay, keep in mind, as I already stated, for example, I clearly understand, in the eyes of the average US politician from the Capitol Hill, or from some operative in CIA, not all, but some, very many, I am subhuman. Because those people are brainwashed. They don't know history, they don't understand military, and they don't understand warfare. And as a result, this is their attitude. And they, had 30 years of self, aggrandizing. after beating the crap out, well, basically impotent Arab army. And so they thought that they're good. They're not good. They're not that good at all. The only thing the United States has in the real military sense, it's nuclear deterrent, it's Navy, and that's about it. As I repeat ad nauseam for years, you can take any field manual which is written for the U.S. Army, and much of it have been generated by those great Wehrmacht generals, which were brought to the United States and remained in Germany, who lost their war, but yet for some reason they thought that they're great generals. They had to construct this narrative, which is complete fantasy, because you can really count on fingers of one hand the real military historians in basically in the United States. And as a result, they're facing now reality. They were preparing them best enforced, best defense lines, actually 3 of them for the last 8 years. They all have been broken through. And Russians did it with a minimal, basically, minimal losses for itself. Obviously, Russians do lose people. But that's why they need to create, they wanted this propaganda from Ukrainians. Ukrainians shoot every day, all hypersonic weapons, kill 100,000 Russians a day, so and things like that. That tells you actually the professional level of those people. So, well, people who couldn't win against peasant army in Korea, lost in Vietnam, lost in Iraq, lost in Afghanistan. My God, what a military history or record of military accomplishments. Yes, they still want to kill Russians. It's for the spite. It's for the realization, or rather palliative therapy of the complex of inferiority, because Russian military history dwarfs that of the United States, with the exception of the Pacific War, which was primarily a naval war. Other than that, if you look at this, Russian general staff is older than the United States as the country. And, it's like, dudes, who are playing with? I mean, and lightweights, basically. And as a result, we see this, they're ready to commit any kind of the crime. And yeah, they will kill kids if need be. So, and that will be the stain on American military, not only on the State Department or those national security circles. We know who they are. We know whose interests they serve. But the U.S. military supporting this mobilization, it tells you everything you need to know.
When you see the combination of forces in Syria, people coming from Iran, from Russia, from China, these fanatics with these takfiris, I don't know, Wahhabis, they're collecting all of these people in Syria, together with those people from that region, and bringing in Ukrainians. And this is a huge potential for them to spread it over, just recruiting everything in Syria and spreading it over. I wouldn't be surprised during Donald Trump's presidency have some sort of terrorist attack in China, as we've seen in Iran and Russia.
Oh no, United States will inspire. It's already clear. London, for example, would love nothing more than see a couple of Russian passenger trains, being blown off the rails, because that's how they think. The more Russians dead, especially civilians, the better. Those people, as already stated, they are basically abomination of humans. They don't have integrity, honor. They're cowards. That's what they do. Terrorism, sabotage, and things like that. They cannot fight. That will be in China, and in Russia. It's already happening, and FSB is working overtime to stopping those groups. And it's, as already stated, for example, in Ukrainian terrorism inside Russia, it is primarily, not exclusively, inspired by the MI6. These people think that this chihuahua of a country, which is not even a country soon, is somehow matters. It doesn't. And as I already stated, terrorism is the weapon of the weak. United States and the rest of NATO are weak militarily in a classic sense of the military art, which they never studied really. The way they study military art, I sometimes wonder what they are studying, so fantasies. And as a result, that's what is going to be. Mr. Naryshkin, the chief of SVR, and FSB director, Mr. What's his name, Bortnikov, they went on record 2 days ago. We would expect increase in terrorism activity, more civilians. This is what they're good at.
Do you think that the leadership in Iran, Russia, and China understand what's going on? And
Oh yeah, absolutely. Please, it's these are professional people who sit there, and as I already stated, both Mr. Narishkin, who is director of SVR, Foreign Intelligence Service, and Mr. Bortnikov, who is FSB, they went on the record. We know this, that. They literally itemized it, and this is terrorist activity and sabotage are on the list of the United States and United Kingdom and other special services, as already stated, trying to do something about Putin's regime and then dictatorship. These people are morons, as I already stated. I don't know what do they teach. Obviously, most of their humanity education they go through in all those Ivy League or Oxford or whatever it's garbage, it's brainwashing, so it's primarily propaganda. So they live in their alternative universe. They think that they're gonna scare Russians with the terrorist activity. These people are morons. I mean, literally, what they do, the Russians already, just, resolve of people and hatred. And Russians already hate West. Good. Now that's about time. Europe altogether, I already stated, you have to communicate with the United States because it's still nuclear superpower. So you have to, in one way or another. But with Europe, I was for Iron Curtain for a long time. This is a filthy place, and just erect the Iron Curtain.
are we heading toward an era of arm race?
Oh, we never quit it, and Russia won it. But so it's just that I already stated in 2019. I wrote a book on it. You cannot even, many people with the civilian backgrounds, obviously, they sometimes cannot comprehend the abyss in the conventional capabilities between Russia and the United States, for example. That's why when I say I'm not being, using hyperbole or overstating it, take all those field manuals, throw them away. They are useless in the real war. Well, unless, of course, you fight somebody like Syrian army, or then, yeah. Because actually the new age of warfare, no country in the world is within this, because Russia in this case is in the league of her own. She is racing now with herself only, and it goes to the especially delivery systems. And United States is, what does the United States has? That Trident 2D5 and Minuteman 3, that's it. Look at the spread of Russian delivery systems, both operational and strategic level. It's just mind-boggling. All of them hypersonic, maneuvering, you cannot intercept them. And whatever is coming soon, oh boy, I want to live to see what comes next,
What's so dangerous, Andrei, right now? It seems that we're getting to the point that Iran, Russia, China, all the countries around the world are understanding that any sort of agreement with the West doesn't have any sort of guarantee in the future.
Yeah.
They can break it, they can just abolish any sort of agreement. And without having any sort of force behind that, your agreement with them, they're going to just ignore it and they're going to destroy whatever they were agreeing on.
Yeah, absolutely. Combined West is non-agreement capable. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal. This is what they do. Those people, as I already stated, political elites in the West, they are completely decomposed human beings with no honor, no integrity, no courage. Most of them are cowards, and they will be doing, what you just described. So in this case, and actually, I believe even Putin once stated this, but it's Al Capone truism. With the kind word and the gun, you can get much further than with the kind word alone. So you have to keep, while this civilization decomposes, the gun to its temple, and saying that if you want to commit suicide, go right ahead, die, but you're not taking us with you. And this is exactly what is happening. And people still do not understand significance of Russia, and especially what Mr. Putin stated 3 days ago. We don't need new nuclear doctrine, he said. What we need, which is already happening, more Oreshniks and similar systems, because in this case, Russia can defeat any combination of forces without the use of nuclear weapons. This is people, that's what they do not understand. Nuclear deterrence still has to be improved, and the delivery systems have to be improved. But as I already stated many times, I even demonstrated, take the classic assembly area of the, let's say, US Army Brigade Combat Team. It's about the size of the Yuzhmash, okay? So if they even get to the assembly area, let's start with this. Single Oreshnik missile just will wipe the place completely, including hardware. So you have 5,000 people gone in about a second. So how many those takes to wipe out a single US division? Probably a couple of missiles, that's about it. That's how it changed. That's what it is. I mean, as I already stated, people do not understand the revolution in the military affairs, of which I wrote in 2019. I told them, guys, the hypersonic weapons came in, and especially with the brand new targeting systems, it's over. You cannot do anything about it. Of course, you need to have obviously modern military in terms of their ground forces and things like that. But yeah, in the end, if you want to fight continental warfare, for example, combined NATO force, granted that somehow in fantastical scenario, it will be allowed to assemble or pre-deploy, which is fantastic in its own, it's just cannot happen. I mean, anything from the command post of the highest level of NATO to a level up down to army corps and divisional level, command post, command and control structure will be gone in 20 minutes. There will be nothing left. Those armored forces, they will be gone. There will be nothing. There will be hundreds of thousands killed. And this will be done without nuclear weapons. And so that people have to understand this. Many people in Pentagon who grew up on the movie Patton and on this self-aggrandizing thing about beating the crappy Iraqi army, some of them cannot even grasp this. They don't understand. Just to give you an example, the only fifth generation fighter in the world which has the, astounding record of the real beyond visual range kills, guess what? It's Russian Su-57. There's not a single fifth generation fighter which ever took the part in the real combat, and Russians already have aces who fly there. And the air-to-air combat ace is the one who shot down more than 5 enemy planes. And it's just, wake up, guys. You lost, you want to start the World War III? Well, try.
Andrei, BRICS has an economic arm that is growing bigger as time goes by. In your opinion, does BRICS or do BRICS countries need a military arm to have some sort of equilibrium, some sort of balance, to embrace these countries who are part of BRICS and protect them from outside?
Yeah, it's already forming. Iran, Russia, China. That's a triangle which will be, and again, we have to wait and see what's going to happen after the Russians are very bureaucratic and very law thing, just let's sign this first and then we'll do it, although there are rumors already that some Su-35s have been transferred. I don't know, so I'm not going to speculate here, but once it will be signed, then obviously Russia is keenly interested in propping up Iran militarily. It's not that Iran already was having the number of the serious Russian hardware, arriving there. So per China, there is no official allied relations which are signed, but you can see yourself that they do try to integrate both militaries and the Far East at the Far East. Evidently, there are some Chinese officers who are part of the special military operation. They're learning. So it's It's a process, but yes, BRICS, Russia alone actually has enough wherewithal to defeat any kind of the combination of the enemies.
Thank you so much, Andrei, for being with us today. Great
My
pleasure
pleasure.
as always.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.